No, I don't know if I can keep up with you guys. Yeah, so my name's Jeff Gardiner. I worked on a couple of games prior to my 16 years at Bethesda Game Studios. One of them was Fantastic Four, and there's a big call out to the Fantastic Four movie in the Deadpool Wolverine movie, which I was really excited by, and I don't want to spoil for anyone. Um, I started at Bethesda in 2005, and I worked on Oblivion and Fallout 3 and Skyrim, lead producer on Fallout 4, and then project lead of Fallout 76. So I have a lot of miles under my belt and a lot of gray hair from those projects, but they were all wonderful. So we'll answer whatever questions you guys are throwing at me tonight.
Awesome. We have plenty of those from the audience, and I'm sure from all of us. But we're very happy that you're here. This is great. Josh, you're the huge Elder Scrolls Fallout. You're probably the biggest fan out of all the three of us here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to I don't want to focus too much on that for Jeff. But I think one of the big things I would wonder, as someone who, you were jumping back and forth from, the world of Tamriel to the Wasteland, what's the coolest thing about being able to do different projects in that world? Like, Cyrodiil feels like it was very inspired by kind of like medieval Europe architecture, and then like when you get into Skyrim, it's very obviously Nordic and Scandinavian influenced. Like, what are the benefits of getting to play in those different worlds? And like, I guess similarly, in Fallout, getting to explore different regions of the East Coast.
Um, it's funny. I was talking about this the other day about the influences in the well, especially the Elder Scrolls, because Fallout. We picked the locations for Fallout based on what we knew. So I'm sorry, my camera's so blurry. I look like I'm a soft filter from the soap operas in the '80s to hide my gray hair and wrinkles. It is not that. I'm gonna try to turn it off again and fix it. Um, the So on the Fallout games, Emil Pagliarulo, who is one of my dear friends and was the design director of the Fallout. When we set them in DC, we are located in Rockville, Maryland, um, and um, and so we set it in Washington D.C. So we all lived here for Fallout 3, and then Fallout 4 we set it in Boston because Emil is from Southie, believe it or not, Boston, Massachusetts. So that's where those two settings came from, and then the Elder Scrolls ones was interesting. I came in on the tail end of Oblivion, and Cyrodiil is definitely like Normandy or Britain, very traditional medieval fantasy. I loved Oblivion like the reason I moved my family 2,500 miles to work on those games. It took a massive pay cut at the time because I saw Todd pitch Oblivion at E3 and was like, I have to be a part of this. Um, anyway, we got so then I don't know what the thinking was or how they chose that location, but Skyrim was very Nordic, right? It's big mountains and snow, and we made a big push to make it feel very Nordic. Ironically, I was remarried and took my second honeymoon to Norway right after Skyrim, and I was like, oh, this is really like really like Skyrim. Anyway, and so when you go to those locales, we had the I think one of the most important things in a video game is to, and we talked about this a little in the pre-show, is to fall in love with what you're doing, and you pick your vibe and you try to describe it very simply. And at the time, believe it or not, it was Conan the Barbarian. Todd had a little Conan the Barbarian statue on his desk or in his office somewhere. And he talked about his love for the first movie. Now, we all saw that as teenagers, right? Like, I remember telling him my stories. Like, I was in my grandmother's house. I was like 12 years old and flipping through cable. And this was when the cable was like a box and a little slider that hooked up to the TV. We didn't even have it in my house at home. And my grandmother had it. And it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I turned on Conan right in the beginning. Like, I found it right in the beginning. And as a D&D nerd, I saw like that opening sequence with them riding through the snow and killing the village. And I just watched the whole movie, and it's a huge inspiration for that game and a lot of what I've been into my entire career. Sorry for the long-winded answer, but so those are the that was the and so when Todd said Conan the Barbarian, it's like, oh, you got to be kidding me, that's my favorite movie of all time. He was like, what? And I was like, oh no, I love it. So anyways, those things that stick with you when you're a kid, I think, are often inspirations for art. in your adult life. That's sort of how we. So obviously, I'm still a Weird Song, and a lot of Weird Song is inspired by stuff that I was into as a kid. Old heavy metal lyrics and weird notions of how the world works, and it's been fun to work on.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.